So today, Stoklos and his partner St. John Smith will try to win their 100th tournament together. Pat Powers and Adam Johnson trying to win their first tournament together. Our first referee Rick Olmsted. Used to coach Karch Karai in high school. And Jeff Jordan is our umpire. So Olmsted is up and Jordan is down. Smith and Stoklos will have the ball to start it off. They'll be on the north side or the bad side. Adam Johnson and Pat Powers. A team that has been doing very well lately. They played in their first tournament ever last year in Seattle when Timmons decided to play with Mike Dodd. Remember, Timmons was playing with Johnson. Smith serves it up. And here we go. Pat Powers wearing red. Here he comes. And he might be the only player on the beach that is bigger and taller and can jump over Randy Stoklos.
Well, a lot of players call out over Randy, and they mean just loop it over him. But earlier in the finals in the winner's bracket, Adam Johnson said Pat over him, and Pat powered it straight down over the top of Randy Stoklos. They're a good combination as a team. They could look at Adam Johnson out of USC, 6'3", 185 pounds, and he's been working very hard on his beach game.
Third at the USA Championships last year with Steve Timmons, so he's really a comer. And inside the block goes St. John Smith. Smith, who will be 34 in May. And his partner Stoklos, sitting on 99. He had one with Jim Menges. Powers looping long. So Pat Powers dinks one in. Pat played in Yugoslavia this past winter. He's a tremendous all-around volleyball player, a great hitter blocker. 84 Olympic gold medal. 1986, he was voted the best spiker in the world. Won 6 of those tournaments with John Stevenson that one fabulous summer when he won $110,000. Powers at the net, Johnson digging behind. And inside the block touches Randy Stoklos. So there's Pat wearing the sunglasses, as is Stoklos. Smith to serve. He's taking his off. And the lob is out of bounds. Now, if we take a close look at Adam Johnson, he's wearing something very unusual for a beach volleyball player. He's wearing something called foot digs, brightly colored little booty socks that are made by a sponsor. We can say it's Nike. And they're supposed to give him a little lift, keep the sand out, and keep your feet from burning. So he's going to play with those. Great serve, and it's out of bounds. And Adam told me, he said, I'm not just wearing them because Nike sponsors me. I'm wearing them because once I tried them, it gives me a little lift. I don't sink into the sand. Do you think that's true?
I've never worn them, but I got a pair for you today. I'm going to take them home and try them out. But, you know, they're a real innovation. Nothing's like this has ever been brought to the beach before.
The people here that sponsor Adam gave a free pair to all the players. And I think when it's hot, people will be wearing those out in the hot sand. Really has never been a... Oh, there's an ace by Johnson. And that is how Johnson and Powers won the winner's bracket 15-8. Some really tough serving.
This jump serve cross court right into the wind. Look at this ball just dive over the net and away from St. John Smith.
Johnson born January 31st, 1965, so he just turned 26, and he is one of the bright young stars, along with Kent Steffes. And serving hard into the wind. Keep in mind, Powers and Johnson on the good side. Ball spiked out of bounds, and just as Hovland and Steffes did in the semifinal, points being racked up against Smith and Stoklos early. Say, when you're the loser's bracket team, you're coming back with one win. You have to get off to a good start. Smith and Stoklos have not. 3-0 as Johnson sets to put the ball in play, and we have a 20-second, I believe, 20-second timeout to Smith Stoklos. So Adam Johnson and Pat Powers. How did Smith Stoklos reach the final? An easy win to open it up. Leduff and Faust 16-14. A squeaker. Mirren, Friedrichsen, Clark, and Wirtz, who placed 5th, did very well. Lost to Johnson and Powers, and then squeezed by Hovland and Steffes. For Johnson and Powers, they have been unbelievable. No team has scored double figures today. So Johnson and Powers, who took an initial 5th last year at Seattle. If you remember back to Hawaii, Johnson played with Leif Hansen. They did very poorly, and Johnson was on the phone to Pat Powers the next day.
In Yugoslavia. I think Pat was back,
Pat was back by then.
But his hand was in a cast, and he was just coming out of that and getting ready to play. And they've got the big blocker and imposing player in Pat Powers and Adam Johnson to run around, play defense, pass the ball, and jump serve. But Adam also has the hitting ability to side out against the stronger team.
Stoklos serving, his team trailing. The conventional wisdom is to serve Johnson as much as possible. Johnson bombs it down the line. So Adam Johnson out of Southern Cal. He was the 1986 Indoor Player of the Year in collegiate volleyball under Bob Yoder. And what a tremendous player he was. He never won an NCAA championship, but he went to the finals 3 out of 4 years. Powers will serve, so 2 Trojans going against 2 Bruins. You got to love that. Both St. John and Randy from UCLA, and Powers stuffs it right off Smith.
That's Pat Powers' game. Nobody, even Randy Stoklos, gets over the net as far as Pat Powers. When he's strong and in shape and he's rounding into form now, how would you like to have to hit against that peepers, as we call him, getting his head over the net?
He did it to the Soviets. He did it to the Cubans, and now he's doing it on the beach. See some pretty good finishes for Powers and Johnson this year. Initially, they got a 5th, then they got a 9th, then they got a 3rd, last week a 4th. And this week going for the gold and going for their first open win tournament. And we're going to take Santa Barbara Open this weekend. I'm Chris Marlowe along with my pal Paul Sunderland. We're in final action, and right now, Adam Johnson and Pat Powers are laying it on Smith and Stoklos. However, we've switched sides. Smith and Stoklos have gone to the good side. The wind is very, very powerful. You see the flags flapping in the breeze, and it is a powerful breeze now. How fast would you say that wind is going, Paul?
It's got to be 15, 20-mile-an-hour wind, and if Pat Powers and Adam Johnson can serve tough, and as good as Pat looks blocking, they could blow this game wide open. It depends if they're able to get at least a couple on the bad side before the next side change.
Good serve, and the ball blowing away from Smith. And he keeps it in play. Chance for a point. Everybody fell down, and Johnson booms another one. So Adam Johnson coming on.
And Pat Powers, not known as a great server. He usually just likes to get the ball in play and then come to the net and be a blocker. But this time, very cagey serve. Gets St. John Smith, Randy Stoklos in trouble, and then Pat Powers setting the ball pretty well. This blows on the net, and AJ just unloads.
Powers is 6'6", about 200 pounds, and the pressure now on St. John Smith and Randy Stoklos. Not playing well here at the outset. And a little dink shot. The peeper will eat it up. He can crank it. But that time, finesse over the top. 7-0. Powers and Johnson laying it on Smith and Stoklos.
Really some communication between St. John Smith and Randy Stoklos. Randy yelling loud and early that serve was out. St. John ignoring the call, back on the line, past the ball, and from the get-go, that side-out attempt was in trouble.
Smith and Stoklos have played together for 10 years. Powers and Johnson, this is their 5th tournament. Make that 6th tournament, one last year. Smith blocked and down. Peeper way over the net. You can see why Doug Beal liked him in the lineup in '84.
2 stuffs early for Pat Powers, and this is what makes them good. Adam Johnson playing defense and Pat Powers just roaming and controlling.
We have the second 20-second timeout, I believe. Let's see. Yes, it is a 20-second. We're going to take a quick timeout. Chris Marlowe and Paul Sunderland, final action. Powers and Johnson with a big lead on Smith Stoklos at the moment, 9-1. Ball is blocked. Nicely done by Stoklos. Recovery. Johnson booms it.
Powers and Johnson really working well together. AJ got stuff, but they're communicating quickly and decisively for such a new team.
Once again, if you're wondering about Adam Johnson, what is he wearing on his feet? That's a new product, little foot booties, foot digs, feet digs. And it's supposed to give you a little spring out of the sand, prevent blisters. Something unusual for the men's professional beach volleyball tour. And they're quite colorful. Oh, great serve. There's the ace. And in only 19 minutes, Johnson and Powers drilling Smith and Stoklos now 10-1. Maybe those things do work, Paul.
Well, they're giving him a solid platform here, and this is just into the wind right over the top of Randy Stoklos. No chance.
That is the 3rd ace by A.J. Adam Johnson. Here he goes again. And that one too long. But strong serving by Powers and Johnson has really helped that team. Johnson, Smith, and Stoklos still looking for win number 100 together. Johnson blocks. There's a point. Stoklos stuffs one down, and really Smith and Stoklos need Stokey to get hot blocking, or St. John needs to go on a phenomenal digging spree.
Well, Smith and Stoklos not out of this at all. They can put a point run together, as you mentioned, Smith digging or jump serving and Randy Stoklos blocking, and they keep it on young Adam Johnson.
That's
tight
trouble.
Set.
AJ pokes it. And trying to get it over Powers, and he does. So Smith and Stoklos showing a little life now.
I'll tell you, they're down 10-3. If they get back to 10-5 and go over to the good side, in terms of confidence, they're going to feel like they're right back in this thing.
If Powers and Johnson give up another point, look for him to take time out, or maybe a 20-second timeout to break the momentum. And here it comes right here. 10-3, a couple of quick points, and we're going to take a timeout. We're coming back to some point. Johnson up hard. Johnson looks like he's really getting out of the sand well here. He's 6'3", but he's slightly built, so he looks a little smaller than that.
Good jumper, though, and always had an excellent arm swing. He can move the ball around and bring it with heat if he has to.
He is supposedly banned from playing on the USA national team because he accepted an offer to play in Europe as that ball is served out of bounds. He accepted an offer to play in Europe for $100,000. Well, who wouldn't take that? But Doug Beal, the general manager of the national team, said, "You'll never play on this team again." And so I asked him what his status was, and he said, "I'm not worrying about it right now, but I don't think I'm able to play for the next 10 or 15 years on the USA national team." I think that'll change.
Well, I think it should. I remember one time I was offered what was for them big money to play in Europe in 1978, and Doug said I could go, and that would be fine, but I could never, ever come back, and I decided to stay, and then we boycotted the Olympics, and the rest is history.
And then just to top off the story, Doug Beal got an offer for about $300,000 a year, and he went to Europe. So I wonder if he's banned. Powers with the stop. So PP.
Talk about banning. PP is banning the cross court from Randy Stoklos. Once again, you can't say enough about the blocking ability of Pat Powers. This number 4 way over the net, jumping out of the soft sand. That was a key point.
Powers looking for win number 1 this year. Adam Johnson going for his first win of all time. He's never even been in the final. Got third last year at the USA Championships. And another ace. Rack it up. It's an ace. And now Adam Johnson and Pat Powers feeling it. 12-3 is our score. Johnson is pulling through Northern California, the Miller Lite Santa Barbara Open. Chris Marlowe, Paul Sunderland watching final action. And this man, you recognize him? Laz Karai, Karch's dad, scouting up-and-coming partners for Karchi when he gets back.
He's probably got a video camera hidden somewhere.
Best information we have, Karch and Steve Timmons will be back the first weekend of June. If they're back a little before that, we will see them in San Antonio at the Alamo along with Davy Crockett and San Antonio. Or is that Santa Ana? Our freestyle laps time, and this has been the quickest final I can remember, especially with Smith and Stoklos on the losing end. Yes, it's hard to believe. 12-3 is our score. And Johnson and Powers have the lead. Powers telling Johnson to run, run. But Johnson couldn't get there.
When the ball is set that tight, St. John Smith's only hope is the high loopy over the top of the block. He wants Adam Johnson to read that. If St. John tries to cut it inside Pat Powers, he'll chop it off with the inside hand.
And Paul Sunderland, the wind and rain may be coming. Cloud cover is here. Powers, pretty good set. Oh, and Johnson tips it right through Stoklos. Stoklos might have missed it. And I think Stoklos is going to talk to Rick Olmsted and say maybe there was interference.
Now let's see, how did this ball get by Randy Stoklos? Randy is just a little bit too far inside.
That's a great play.
And Adam with the pokey right down the line.
And as we answered on the beach bag, incidental contact is allowed. You can touch the other player under the net. So good non-call by Rick Olmsted. Powers and Johnson by 9. And that serves out of bounds. I have to tell you, with these ribbons, 4 lines, it bounces all the time. You can never really tell if the rope jumped.
It used to be a much heavier gauge rope, and now if there's any kind of
bouncing all the time.
How tough does it make it on the officials? Did the ball hit that line, or is it just blowing because of the wind?
Powers down the line.
Going down the line by Pat Powers. That's like loops over the lock of Randy Stoklos and down the line. Good first side out. Powers Johnson leading 12-3 here in the final.
So now Johnson will put the ball into play.
Nike's Adam Johnson back.
Just a reminder, we will be picking our Killer Loop Kill Award winner. The man with the most kills will get $500.
No one.
Sponsored by Boston Loam. And let's check right now with our stat man who is leading. Pat Powers has 6. St. John Smith has 8. 8 kills for Smith. So Smith in the running for the Killer Loop Award. And Johnson and Powers right behind. That would be bitter consolation for St. John Smith if he wins the 500. But the 8 grand goes out the window. And once again, crowd is trying to taunt Randy Stoklos on the far side. He's waiting. And security trying to firm it up over there. You see the security in the black shirt. Johnson blocked. It was a low, tight shot. And Stoklos got one. So Stokey's starting to warm up. He's got 2.
Stoklos and Smith. We're now 4 serving 12.
I still think this lead a little bit too big in these windy conditions. It'll be awfully tough for Smith and Stoklos to come back, but if they have to make a move, that's how they're going to do it.
You never know. Smith and Stoklos have done it before.
Tight set.
Jamming. Powers. And Smith has it. Chance for another point. Stoklos got it! The same exact shot he did in the semis. And this time it's worth a point.
I thought it was good in the semis, and I thought this is a great shot.
This one was better.
This one was better. St. John Smith with a good read. Now watch Randy. Doesn't give it away at all. Keeps his hands high. Adam Johnson getting into the picture, but really didn't have a chance.
One of the great shots this year on the beach. 3 straight points for Smith and Stoklos as they try to close the gap against Adam Johnson and Pat Powers. 20-second timeout. That's 2 for Powers and Johnson. You're allowed 4 per team. And Stoklos waiting and wondering, will this be the day that St. John and I get our 100th victory? Didn't come last week. Hovland and Steffes were there. This week, Johnson and Powers. Powers.
A nice set. And Pat, with that extension and great arm swing, is one of the, maybe the only player who can go over the top of Randy Stoklos.
I'm not sure that was a very smart serve by Randy. Maybe it got away from him. But why serve Powers when you're blocking Johnson?
Well, you've just blocked him, and you've had him in trouble a couple of times. And look at Pat, right over the top. And Pat, if there was any doubt whether or not he had recovered from the hand injury and was back in shape, he's answering it this weekend.
Line high.
Very nice shot by St. John Smith. Hitting hard.
The temperature is dropping and the wind is rising. We're up on the scaffolding, and it's about 20 degrees up here.
And the cloud cover is coming in. Crowd is not left, however. They're trying to figure out, too, what is going on out here.
How good set.
Ooh, Smith with a great dig. Stoklos to Johnson. Back to Stoklos. Here comes Randy, and there it goes. The Kings get another point.
First mistake maybe by Adam Johnson. He had a sitter right on top of the net. Could have cranked it or hit it deep. Great dig by St. John Smith. Look, watch Randy Stoklos adjust. He moves back to get into the wind. And look at Adam just pokies that one right to Randy. Yeah, got to make the guy pay or hit it over his head deep.
And there's a timeout on the sand. We're going to take a timeout back. Ledbetter Beach, the site of this year's Miller Lite Santa Barbara Open. First time we've been back since 1986. And we're now in final action. Let's check out the third-place finisher, Hovland and Steffes. Fourth place, Brent Frohoff and Mike Whitmarsh, a new team that played very, very well. Akatubby and Stevenson, a surprising fifth, as Roger Clark and Eric Wirtz, Friedrichsen and Meir, Moodhart and Lewis, another new team, in seventh. And then in ninth, Hansen, Andrew Smith, kind of disappointing, as is Vandewey, Dvorak. Klusman and Rogers played well. Boley and Bouillon in 13th. Carrillo, Sawara, Goodrick, Fallowfield, Carey, Kirchie, and Ali Tazaruni along with his pal. And 17th, you look down at the bottom, the Menges update, Jim Menges and Wes Welch. 17th this week. Yes, you do win some money. And
a couple of big names up top. John Hanley and Mike Dodd, who finished third last week in San Diego, this week are 17th. And Ricky Ludes and Dan Vrabalovich, also 17th this week. But Dan Vrabalovich really has a banged-up knee. I'd be surprised if we don't see him off the tour for a couple of weeks.
Adam Johnson and Pat Powers won the winner's bracket. As Smith hooks one back over. And Powers dinks it over. He chickens it over on two.
Pat is trying as hard as he can right now not to break out in the biggest grin since he won a gold medal in the Olympics.
That was a great shot. Powers and Johnson led 8-0. 9-1 as we take one more look at the Peeper doing his thing here.
Here's early in the play, St. John Smith with the dig, and Adam Johnson perfect pass. See you later. I told you he was a smart guy.
A 9-point lead at 12-3 was the biggest. And now Power. Oh, the husband and wife serve in the husband and wife area. And Powers and Johnson go to 13.
Say, when you're serving in these kind of conditions, Pat Powers goes back and you just hit the ball as hard as you possibly can, a little higher trajectory, and it comes right down on the back line into the wind.
We've seen that play a lot for Smith and Stoklos this week. It's like they brought it out, and that must mean they're not communicating very well. Right down the pipe, looking for it again. Smith shanks left. Here he comes. Oh, big hit by Smith. Do you think that Johnson and Powers have to win on the good side, or can they get a couple and go back?
No, I think they've got to win. Well, maybe now that service ace helped them a little bit, but I think they have got to win now. If they do change sides, it's going to be 13-12, most likely. Smith Stoklos down, and I would give them the advantage coming onto the good side.
Smith leading in our competition for the Killer Loop Kill Award. That will be presented at the end of the game or the final. Ball is dug, but Stoklos was dug in on the left side, could not go.
Pretty good jig. Adam Johnson with the heater straight down against no block, and St. John popped this ball straight up, but Randy leaned in the other direction.
Big rotation now for Johnson and Powers on the good side. And Powers is blocking. Johnson is jump serving.
Absolutely. He's jump serving, and he's got a very, very good one.
4 aces already. Looking for number 5. No, too hard. Boy, I tell you, that wind is blowing, though. I even thought that one was coming back. He's got the adrenaline going. Well, he's 2 points away from his first title.
And he's probably thinking about it a little bit. But that'll be the strategy. If they can side out every time, they'll go back and hit the ball up into this wind as hard as they can.
It's really blowing.
Nobody's there. Let's do something.
Great shot. Power scoops it up. Smith! Oh, he just missed. Smith trying to alligator dig, hands open on the retreat, almost had it. That might have been a play that would turn it around.
Great defense by Smith and Stoklos once again, and Pat Powers gets the great rip. But if this ball goes down, maybe it turns the game around for Smith and Stoklos.
13-8. Smith. And Johnson has it. Big play here to go to 14. Johnson, not yet. Stoklos digs it up. And Stokey dinks it down.
Excellent play by Smith and Stoklos, because Pat Powers in transition had given Adam Johnson a very hittable set.
Good opportunity for Johnson and Powers. They couldn't put it away, however.
13-8.
And Smith going to send it up. Excuse me, Chris.
Powers. You got 2 regulars and 1 sand left.
2 regular and 1 sand timeout remaining for Powers and Johnson, and they're going to take the sand. Take the 20-second sand timeout for Johnson and Powers. No, they're taking a full timeout. Excuse me. It is a full timeout. So Pat Powers, who has won plenty of money in his career, Smith and Stoklos on top, almost $50,000. It's early. Steffes, Hovland, Dodd, Walmer, surprisingly, in 6th place. He's played well. Frohoff and Dan Vrabolovich, and those numbers figure to go up in the next few weeks with some big money tournaments coming up. 13-8 is our score. Smith Stoklos playing poorly, Paul, do you suppose, or is it just Johnson and Powers?
I don't think they're playing nearly as well as they were earlier in the season. They're having some problems in these conditions. But Powers and Pat Powers, Adam Johnson are playing extremely well. They're taking good advantage of their opportunities on the good side. You take a player like Pat Powers, and when he comes back on the scene and is in shape and strong, he can dominate. Pat Powers, Adam Johnson obviously getting the ball to St. John Smith, but conversely, things are pretty evenly distributed. However, a little favoritism towards Adam Johnson.
If you just joined us, you just turned on your TV set, Powers and Johnson, the team you're looking at right now, jumped out 8-0. 9-1, 12-3. Smith and Stoklos caught up to 12-8, and then Pat Powers served an ace. So Johnson and Powers on defense at the moment as Smith tries to score a point here. Going to send it up way high. Usually the bigger player takes it, and Powers does. Now you ask, why don't the players serve the sky ball all the time? Well, you can't control who the ball goes to. So if you don't want to serve Powers and you serve the sky ball, he's going to get it.
Because you're sending it up 100 feet above the court, obviously it gives the best passer or the biggest hitter time to just walk over and take the ball. You want to use it as a change of pace, as a surprise, as something that puts a little different look towards the other team.
And the temperature is dropping as the wind comes up. 13-8 is our score. Smith. And Powers touched the net. The ball was in, however.
All right. But we know you didn't.
And so Smith and Stoklos will have the side out, trying to hang in. Powers and Johnson in control at the moment. Good bump set. And Powers cut Smith. Smith was there. It went off the outside of his arm.
Pretty good fake block. They got Pat Powers to cut the ball towards St. John Smith, and a play that ordinarily he would make. Anything you can do to stop Pat Powers from drilling, you want to do that. And St. John is there, just one step late.
Powers aced last time he served, and that time into the net.
This thing is far from over, even though Smith and Stoklos are down 5. If they can score a couple on the bad side, they're right back in this thing.
Smith in sky ball position, moving towards 44 minutes in our freestyle elapsed timing. What looked like it was going to be a very fast match has turned into a long one. Smith got to go. Stoklos and Powers netted. So Smith and Stoklos get another point. Big play there.
I tell you, the test of a truly great team, which Smith and Stoklos established themselves as a long time ago, is to win when you're not particularly playing well. And they're just trying to bring things out of their hat to win this match.
Johnson against Stoklos. Blocked. Another point. And so now Johnson and Powers struggling as Randy Stoklos and St. John Smith turn up the screws a notch.
You think this is an easy one to hit? You put it up with no spin, keep it in the court in this sort of wind and condition. It's worked very well for St. John Smith throughout the years, and he's pulling it out of the bag in Santa Barbara.
The score was 12-3, 7-1 run for Smith and Stoklos. Doing it on the bad side, doing it on the good side. And now Powers has to ponder. He's the veteran of this team, and he has to take charge. Johnson has never won a tournament, and there's got to be pressure on him. He's got to be thinking about it.
Well, maybe they're talking about if St. John sends it up, let Adam Johnson pass the ball.
Yeah. Powers got to take the sky ball, don't you think?
Well, I would think so ordinarily, but they're having trouble right now.
Powers got to hit the ball. You get in there, you got to take a whack at it, make that guy block you. If you're serving that sky ball, I think Powers has to get in there.
He's the better hitter. Adam Johnson the better setter.
So Johnson, he was hot early with his aces. And 4 in this particular game. He's trying to whip up one now. Too long. He didn't get the toss quite high enough, it appeared. That is his second error.
Well, he tosses the ball much lower than a lot of other players like Roscoe Tanner in tennis years ago, and boy, he was going for the ace there.
Johnson will attack. That's trouble. It's tight. And the ball put away. Stoklos falls down. Contact under the net.
You guys were both right on the plane.
And both players right on the plane of the net, says Jeff Jordan. One thing about Adam Johnson's toss, Paul, is it doesn't give the defensive players, the passers, much time to set up.
Well, he only tosses it about 4 or 5 feet over his
Very
head with
quick.
spin, and he gets on it quickly.
Powers will 13-10. Powers has it. Oh, and he can't get there. I think Johnson could have gotten there, but he saw Powers coming
and got out of the way.
Yes.
But Pat made a commitment to that ball, and just a tough chance. Who's going to give in?
Once again, it's going up. Let's see if Powers goes over and coaches and takes it. There he goes. And Powers, interestingly, I was surprised that he's kept his sunglasses on so long. Powers, right in the midst of that play, took his sunglasses off to see if that was going to hit the line. An amazing play. And now that the sun peeks out, Powers will stick with it. Threatening rain all day today. Hasn't come, thankfully, yet. Johnson. And Johnson now.
3 errors in a row, if I'm not mistaken, by Adam Johnson. He was being a little impatient.
Pressure is on.
Yeah, wants to get the ace and get this game over with.
Smith and Stoklos. So hard to put away. Out of bounds. That's a point. No touch. And things have tightened up considerably.
I tell you that it was 8-0. It was 9-1, 12-3, and now Smith and Stoklos trail by only 2.
Johnson has got to suck it up, and he does. Johnson and Powers have to have another point on this side, we think. They're dying on the vine on the good side right now.
Pat Powers is server.
8-1 has been the run for Smith and Stoklos. If Smith-Stoklos win, don't go away, we'll have a 7-point slow death tiebreaker. Oh, another service error.
And all of these coming from the good side. Together, Johnson and Powers have 7 errors, lots of them coming late.
And here comes the sky ball again. Smith trying to get it right on the back line. That's where he'd prefer to have it.
That one's pretty close.
Keeper on the attack. And he puts it. Oh, it went through Stoklos' hands. It might have been a field goal. Lucky play there for Pat Powers.
Smith really getting the radar on the high ball. Randy jumps into the cross court. He was right there, field goal.
If you're Johnson, what are you thinking on your jump serve now? You've missed your last 2. The last one was out by about 6 feet.
Well, you try to block out everything else and just go for it. What's he got? This is his first final ever. Just toss the ball up. You've done it a million times and rip it.
There it is! Point number 14 on the ace-off, Johnson.
Try once and fail. Try twice and fail. 3 times. Number 4. What the heck? And this time he goes down the line against Randy Stoklos. Looking for his first win.
The upset is on the table for Johnson and Powers. Try to win their first tournament together ever. And Adam Johnson, the blonde kid right there, tries to win his first tournament ever. And I can think back to my first tournament that I won with Steve Obradovich, and my heart was thumping like a jackhammer at Manhattan, waiting for OB to put the ball down the last time. Johnson has been spectacular. He's made some errors, but he has wrapped up some aces. And now Johnson and Powers on the bad side. They need a point to win. It is championship point here in Santa Barbara.
No jump serve, just going to try to keep the ball, I think, on St. John Smith.
And he lollipops one in. Lob shot. Stoklos called line. He made a bad call, but St. John didn't listen. St. John Cagey said, I'll go angle, baby.
And deep angle. Randy Stoklos, I've got to jump it up here. Return the favor to Adam Johnson.
Yeah.
Only down by 3 and on the good side once again.
Right to Johnson. He's coming in. It's a low set, but Johnson deals with it very well. In perfect position. You want to keep the set off the net a couple of feet so Stoklos and Powers, the 2 big blockers, can't reach him.
You got to give Adam Johnson room to swing. And look at him, facing the net, but then turns away from his body against Randy Stoklos.
You can see Pat Powers send one up. He has a pretty good sky ball. He's going to go to Stoklos. This is for the match. Not yet. Powers will have a chance. Will Johnson and Powers win it? No, not yet. Flipper! Johnson will have a chance to win his first tournament on his own spike. Got it! He's a winner! Johnson and Powers.
AVP award ceremony coming up.
AJ in the winner's circle, and we're going to come back and talk with them. They win it here in Santa Barbara.
AVP award ceremony.